Top 10 tips when traveling on a budget. There is often the assumption that if you're going to travel, especially for a more extended time period, you will end up broke after, or you will have to make extreme sacrifices on the trip to do everything you want to. Most people would love to travel more, but feel they can't because of the costs, as it is not a secret that traveling can be expensive and cheap. But the most challenging task is to travel on a budget. Welcome back to another episode of Travel Champ, the home of all things travel on YouTube. We're passionate about exploring mind-blowing and fascinating places all over the world and love to share our knowledge with you. Subscribe to the channel now so you never miss out on any of our latest and greatest uploads. And come and join us on our journey. In this video, we'll be talking about the top 10 tips when traveling on a budget. Let's begin with today's video. 10. Accommodation location. Accommodation is usually the highest day-to-day cost of any traveler's expense. In many countries, dropping a few $100s a night on a nice hotel room is very easy to do, and obviously, this is counterproductive to your long-term travel goals. But booking cheaper accommodation outside of the center is more hassle than it's worth. You spend way too much time, effort, and money trying to get into the city center to see the place. And if you end up going out at night, the cost of taxis might mean you don't save much. You could trade expensive hotel suites for dorm rooms and hostels. Sharing a room naturally divides the cost, and communal bunk rooms offer the opportunity to meet people who might be eager to explore with you. 9. Catch public transport. If the locals do it, why shouldn't you? Renting a car wherever you go is likely to be not cost-effective. Not only that, but you also will have to learn the local driving laws and practices. But that doesn't mean you're stuck in your hotel or just the resort to save money. While this can be one of the biggest fears for first-time travelers to developing countries, but at the same time, 99% of the time, the local bus or train is an excellent alternative as you save loads of money. Sure, it might be a bit less comfortable than taking a private car, but remember, you have a travel budget to stick to. When visiting major cities like New York or London, Paris, learning the routes and pricing systems of a light rail, underground, and bus systems can save you tons of time and money compared with renting, gassing up, and parking a car. These days, even well-known auto-loving Los Angeles is joining the public transportation bandwagon. 8. Eat smart. Street food is going to be cheaper than restaurants. You'll also get to experience the people's food and get a real taste of what the country has to offer. Cheap lunches can be bought in a supermarket or even a local fresh food market, rather than an overpriced cafe or restaurant. Aim to wander around before choosing a place to eat dinner, too. If you just pick the first restaurant you see, you won't know if you're overspending. Also, drinking beer with every dinner also adds up on both your wallet and your waistline. Yeah, sure, we all love a drink or two, but interestingly, alcohol will cut deep into your travel budget by 30% of all your total food expenses. And also, let's face it, exploring a new city with a hangover isn't fun. 7. Off-season travel. You could go to countries during shoulder season or off-season. Places like the Canary Islands still average around 60 degrees even in the winter, but are much cheaper during this off-peak season. You could avoid the madness of tourist season that way and can have a much more enjoyable trip, doing the same activities well within your budget. You could also research the best time to visit your intended destination and then travel just before or after these dates. This is called the shoulder season, where you still have a great trip, but maybe the sun won't shine quite as bright. Also, hotels and airlines lower their prices to attract customers during this time. 6. Choose a cheap destination. You can't travel anywhere cheaply if it costs a lot once you get there. Places like, for example, Switzerland and Iceland are very well known for their high prices. Any place can be gone to cheaply, but there's no need to make it hard on yourself. To follow this tip, you could visit a website that monitors rates and decide when it's most affordable for you to see. 5. Exploring interesting free stuff. National parks and museums can be for free. They can often be better than paid tourist trap options because they're government-run or by the people for the people. However, if you're not into organized activities, you can pre-plan your walking tour or a bar crawl of iconic places in the city and read along on your phone to learn the history of each destination. But always keep this in mind. Sometimes, free or cheap is not always worth it. 4. Bargain for the best deal. Resources like TripAdvisor and Google will likely have tips on the do's and don'ts, as well as pros and cons for the city you're visiting. You could hold on your visits to modern stores, malls, and shopping centers, as street vendors, cab drivers, and small store owners will be more willing to negotiate. And also, never pay a full price for anything if you don't have to, and don't be afraid to walk away if they won't meet your reasonable offer, as that's when they chase you down in the street to reopen negotiations anyway. Lastly, never negotiate with a credit card. Always use cash. It's far too easy for vendors to type in $1,000 instead of $10 on their computers. 3. Go to small towns. Less traveling can mean more affordable housing. Budget travelers know that some of the most incredible places to visit in the world mainly consist of towns with populations under 20,000. The prices aren't as jacked up because only the locals there are paying for it. Whether you want a warm welcome, a crowded main street, a craft beer, or a cutting-edge gallery, small towns can make for some of the finest and affordable vacations on Earth. Small towns are often cheaper and more accommodating to travelers than their big city counterparts. Often, the locals there are more representative of a country's culture, simply because tourists can overrun the central city. 2. Pack smart. Budget travelers know that a light suitcase is not just easier to travel with, but can also save you money on baggage fees. Pack in a way that allows you to use and reuse. For example, always have a water bottle and filter instead of buying water when you're out exploring, as it saves you money and is suitable for the environment. Hence, you get 2 advantages out of this simple tip. Another tip is bringing ways to take food with you. Ziploc bags, Tupperware, a light folding canvas cooler, for example. These allow you to carry snacks with you instead of buying food at the attraction or in the middle of a city, which can often be much more expensive. Another key tip for packing smart while traveling on a budget is to pack a universal adapter rather than buying single ones for all the countries you want to go to. More space and less money spent on 5 different adapters. Pack early so you're not in panic mode, and put some thought into packing matching tops and bottoms that are rolled, not folded, as few shoes as you can handle emotionally, and wearing your heaviest layers on the plane. When in doubt, always leave it at home. Number 1. Be flexible. Flexibility doesn't mean you're missing out on the best experience. It can often be the reverse. Sometimes more expensive places have last-minute deals because they need to fill up spaces. Or you may end up in a city you may not have discovered based on cheaper accommodation. It's all about having an open mind, being able to go with the flow, and trusting it'll take you where you need to go. Skyscanner is one of the sites that allows you to compare the cheapest flights available. You can even select everywhere as a destination if you're open to any possibility. For every single dollar you spend, you could write it down in a bit of a pocket diary so that at the end of the week, we add up how much we have spent and use it to keep track of where our money goes. Doing this helps keep you focused on our goals and see where we need to improve on ways to stick to our travel budget. Well, that brings us to the end of today's video, all about the top 10 tips when traveling on a budget. Which tip will you be using for your next vacation? Which one of these tips did you find the most helpful? Would you ever want to visit any of these vacation destinations? Get involved and let us know in the comments section below. If you enjoyed this episode and found it interesting, subscribe to Travel Champ so you never miss out on any of our latest and greatest uploads. Thanks for watching. See you again soon in another video.